It's Football Friday with Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. on Philadelphia's #1 college radio station, WHIP.
Yes. That's us. Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here with you on this Football Friday. Time in the WHIP studios is 11:32. You're listening to WHIP Radio, all via iHeartRadio. Make sure you download the iHeartRadio app on your mobile devices and tablets. Now joining us on the hotline, you can hear him each and every day on 94 WIP. He does the afternoon drive show with Anthony Gargano from 1 to 6 p.m., and that is a Temple alumni, and that's Rob Ellis. Rob, Zach, and Chase here on campus at Temple. Thanks for a few minutes. How are you?
What's up, my fellow brothers? What's going on, guys?
Nothing much. We appreciate a few minutes today. We're all pumped up on this Halloween. It's going to be a fun night on campus. And then we have the big Temple football game tomorrow between ECU. And we all know ECU has a prolific passing offense. And you had Matt Rule on your show a few days ago. This has been a Temple Owls team that they have struggled on the offensive side of the rock in their last two games up against Houston and UCF. Does the quarterback, P.J. Walker, bounce back this week in a tough game up against ECU?
Yeah, he's got to be better, guys. I mean, there have been opportunities, and he just hasn't made them. You saw last week when he got pulled, came back in. I'd probably lean a little bit more heavily on the running game, if possible. Try to get Thomas involved a little bit more. But, yeah, no, there's no question. He's capable of a lot more. We saw it last year, but he just hasn't been nearly consistent enough.
Hey, Rob, Chase Sr. here. Big fan of your work. Thanks for hopping on with us. From the time that you were at Temple until now, how surprised are you about how much the program has grown, especially under Matt Rule in year two?
Well, I think Matt Rule was the right hire after the Adazio stuff. Obviously, he's sort of a disciple of Al Gold. When I was there, it was rough, guys. I think we won maybe 3 or 4 games the entire time when I was there on campus. It was the Ron Dickerson era, so it was ugly. You look at the facilities, how much better they are, and I just think there's much more of a commitment to the program from the university, so it's 1,000 times better. It's getting there. It's not where it needs to be yet, but it's getting.
Are you going to be in attendance tomorrow, Robbie E?
I will be there tomorrow.
Nice.
I got to work, so I can't stay for the whole game. I'll be on CBS 3 a little bit later. I'll probably duck out a little bit early, but I will be there.
Well, make sure you bring a poncho because it's supposed to be a big rainstorm tomorrow, and it's supposed to get really cold.
Yeah, bundle up.
All right, so Rob Ellis joins us right now, afternoon host for WIP, 1 to 6 p.m. with Anthony Gargano. Let's get to the Eagles. Nick Foles, he's been inconsistent. You really saw that up against the games with Arizona through that big 54-yard touchdown pass, but also had 2 picks in this game. So far through this season, give me your assessment of Nick Foles.
I'd say he's regressed. I mean, the thing you have to keep in mind is it's really his second full year as a starter. Technically, it's his first full year as a starter, but I'd say it's the second full year as a starter. We do have to keep that in mind, but there have been areas of regression. Basic mechanics. There are times where we're seeing ghosts back there, guys, where there isn't a pass rush, and he's looking like there is one. I think more than anything else, similar to what I just said about Temple, I think Chip Kelly's got to help him out and really lean heavily on the running game. Now, Houston's a good team against the run, but you get Sproles back. You're going to have Kelsey back. You still have LaShawn McCoy. There's no way there should be a 62 pass attempt game against Houston, but I think that's the biggest thing. You want to almost take the ball out of his hands a little bit, high percentage throws. He's got to be better. If he's not better, they're not going deep in the playoffs. I doubt they win a playoff game if he doesn't get better.
Also, on some of those interceptions, it looks like he favors that back leg. How do you fix that? Because that's just a mechanics thing when you throw off your back leg and throw an interception.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do as a coach, and I'm sure Chip Kelly and, you take your pick, Musgrave, Pat Shurmur, they've all harped on it. They've looked at the film. They've told them over and over. But that's basic stuff. You can't throw off your back foot. You can't be late on these throws. If it's not there, throw it out of bounds. Even take the sack. You have a really good kicker. You can live to see another day. You don't have to force it. That was one thing. One of his trademarks last year was he never forced it. If it wasn't there, okay, you throw it away. It's strange to see that in his second or third year now that he's reverted back to that. But that's something he's absolutely got to improve. The turnovers are killing him. Absolutely. You saw it last week.
Rob Ellis in 94 WIP joins us right now. And Rob, I know you're a big fan of Chip Kelly. Gotta love what he's been able to do so far. NFC East champs last year. So far, so good this year. But he firmly believes in his system. He firmly believes in his play calling, but 62 passing attempts from Nick Foles is not going to cut it. Straying away from the run game isn't going to do it, especially when you have LaShawn McCoy, one of the better running backs in the game. But the red zone offense has struggled, the worst unit in the red zone efficiency so far this season. How does Chip Kelly change that moving forward?
Well, one of the things is, I mean, you've seen it all year, with the exception of the Giants game. They run the ball well.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're in those spots, you're inside the 5, you got to be able to run the ball consistently. And one of the things I would do is I'd get Foles out of that shotgun first and foremost. I mean, we saw that fail against the 49ers, and we saw it fail again last week. He's got to get that mentality out of his head. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing Chris Polk in there, somebody who's maybe, you know, can hit that hole hard, is a little bit bigger. I also wouldn't be opposed to a quarterback sneak in those kind of spots. But, yeah, the biggest thing is you got to run the ball better, and you can't have the turnovers. I can't kill Josh Huff. He's a rookie trying to make a play, get struck from behind. That happens. But, you know, Nick Foles throwing that interception, you know, down there close to the 20, whatever it was, I think it was on 25, that can't happen. And, look, Chip's play calling has to be better. I know everybody wants to anoint him a genius, but that, to me, is on Chip. That third down play, first off, you got to challenge the spot.
Yeah, I agree.
The third down play call was just bad.
The job that Bill Davis has done with this defense, with the talent that he has been given, I think is pretty remarkable. I mean, he's taken guys that are average to above average players and making them look a lot better than they really are, drawing up a lot of interesting schemes. But what do you think about the job that Bill Davis has done so far in 2 seasons as defensive coordinator? Because this defense, for the most part, the last couple of weeks, has been one of the stronger units in football.
No, he's done a really good job. I mean, look, if you just look at that roster, especially on the back end and your secondary, with the exception of Malcolm Jenkins, they're not all that talented. Their front 7 has really stepped up. They've done a much better job. I know they didn't get sacks last week, but they've done a much better job pressuring the quarterback. They've done a decent job against the run. They have some playmakers there. The problem that the Eagles have is, look, their 2 corners aren't starters, and their 1 safety shouldn't be in the league. So Davis, you know, it has some shortcomings. I think he's done a nice job working around it. I mean, for the most part, they've been a very good bend but don't break. The problem with the Eagles, especially this year, is the big plays.
Right.
And, you know, you saw it case in point last week, and you're going to get a couple of guys in Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, who can make some big plays for Houston. So that's got to be curtailed.
The secondary also, I think they get a favorable matchup this week. I understand that the wide receivers for Houston are a little better than most teams, but I'm not a big fan of Ryan Fitzpatrick. 9 touchdowns to 7 interceptions this year on the year. It looks like the Eagles get a little bit of a break this week going up against Ryan Fitzpatrick when we're talking about their secondary.
No, you're right. And, you know, he'll throw a pick. He's mediocre at best. The other thing he does is he fumbles a lot. So this could be a game where if you're getting some pass rush on him, you can strip the ball from behind and get favorable field position. But I agree with you. I love the fact that they're facing Fitzpatrick. I know everybody's panicked about J.J. Watt, and rightfully so. But I don't think this is a great defense. They have a couple really good players, but the Eagles should be able to take advantage of this defense, too. I like the Eagles in this game.
And Herman's is battling some injuries, but it looks like he said he will play. And then Kelsey's been practicing all week, so hopefully they get that help on that decimated offensive line. But that's not an easy task going up against J.J. Watt, and it looks like Clowney's going to play as well. That's going to be a big special combo for many years to come in the National Football League.
No, you're right. I mean, look, you're talking about the best defensive player in the game and a guy with a ton of potential, whether he can harness that or not. We're going to find out. Yeah, I'm skeptical about Herman's, how long this can last, how long he can hold up. I mean, you know, it kills you because you're just getting Kelsey back. You're going to get Mathis back shortly. And then you have this with Herman's. It seems like it's just been that way all year. As lucky as they got last year with a lack of injuries, it's been the opposite this year. But so the Herman's thing, I'm not sure we're going to see him either the whole game or beyond this. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be a challenge. Look, the offensive line, much maligned, but has done a really good job this year. You look at the sacks, they've given him 7 sacks.
Yeah.
You know, they've given up 1 in the last 4 games. They've done an excellent job, you know, keeping the pressure off Nick Foles.
Rob, the Eagles certainly have their deficiencies, but every team in the National Football League does. We've seen what the Eagles can do when they play a full 60 minutes, but for the most part this season, they have been up and down. What type of team do you think the Eagles are right now?
I think that's to be determined. They're a team that we've seen, you know, you look at the Giants game, for example, that they can play at a very high level. I think the Giants helped them out with their defensive game plan. I think the jury's out right now, and a lot of it depends on Nick Foles. If Nick Foles play, I'm not saying, you know, in a mirror image of what he did last year, because that's impossible, but if he can be exponentially better than he's been this year, this team can go deep because the NFC's up for grabs. We've seen that. There's no great team. Seattle's not great this year. So the NFC's winnable. The problem they have is they got to be better at the quarterback position, and their secondary has to do a better job.
Rob, the Eagles are so woven into the tapestry of the city, but with the passion and the dedication of the fan base also comes some overreaction, and you see it firsthand on a daily basis. Is Nick Foles the guy long term, or is that also to be determined?
I can't write him off yet. I mean, look, sometimes people want this thing to just be a rocket launch straight line. It's not that way. Sometimes there's some ebbs and some flows. And so far, it hasn't been good enough. But we're 7 games in. He's got 9 more to prove himself. So I'm not ready to write off Nick Foles like some other people. You're right. I mean, it's natural. It's the quarterback position. It's this city. There's high expectations going into the season. So there are a lot of things that add up for the overreaction, as you said. But I think I got to give him a little bit more time before I make any kind of determination.
A few more questions with Rob Ellis of 94 WIP. He joins us on the hotline right now. You can listen to him weekdays 1 to 6 p.m. with Anthony Gargano. And Rob, we mentioned a little bit about Fitzpatrick. Now let's get to the running back in Arian Foster. In 7 games this year that he's played in, 6 of them, he's had over 100 yards. So he has had a real solid year for this Texans. Do the Eagles load the box a little bit and try to force them to have Fitzpatrick throw the football on Sunday?
Yeah, no question. I mean, you look at just look at what he's done the last 4 games. His numbers have been really, really good. He finds the end zone. Yeah, I mean, to me, sort of like the teams do with the Eagles. Take Shady away, and then you make Nick Foles beat you. This is absolutely take Arian Foster away and let Ryan Fitzpatrick beat you. Look, if he beats you at the end of the day, you tip your hat, but you don't let Arian Foster run all over you. I think that's going to be the key to this whole game. The other thing is I think they're going to turn over Fitzpatrick. They haven't. The Eagles' secondary has not done a good job getting turnovers with the exception of Malcolm Jenkins. I think this could be the game where they get a couple.
I'm a big fan of Bill O'Brien. He sits at 4-4 on the year, and I thought he was put in a situation at Penn State where he did a really good job with what he had and with all the circumstances that he did take over. But unless if you're a Penn State guy or have some ties to Penn State, especially with the culture that Joe Pa created there, I just don't think you could last long term, and that's what you saw with Bill O'Brien. You saw the falling out and some of his frustrations as you talked about it with one reporter. Bill O'Brien, it looks like he has a bright future in the NFL, and he has this Houston team at 4-4, even though they don't have the most talent in the world. He's done a nice job so far.
No, he's a good coach. It was a good choice. Most of the time, you look at a guy who comes from a Belichick tree, and you look at what he's done at the college level, kind of dancing back and forth between the college and the pros. He's done a really good job cultivating talent and utilizing. I mean, what he did at Penn State the last 2 years was miraculous. It really was. And you got fed up at the end. I understand that. But under some really difficult circumstances, he showed really good leadership. I think he was the right choice for them. Right now, he doesn't have his quarterback, and once he does get his quarterback, I think you're going to see Houston be good for a long time.
Rob, before we let you run, what do you and Ant got coming up on 94 WIP today?
Well, I mean, Friday is always heavy Eagles.
Of course.
A lot of Eagles, couple Halloween themes, which I'm sure you guys are having some fun with today. We got a lot of mixing and matching. It was a good sports night last night. There was a lot happening between the Flyers, the Florida State, and the NFL game and LeBron's debut, so with the Cavs or re-debut or whatever. So we got a lot to do. It's going to be a fun show today.
What was your favorite Halloween costume when you were a child? Did you dress up a lot on October 31st?
Yeah, I got dressed up a lot. We used to dress my dog up in a sheet, and he used to sometimes get a little too excited, maybe have an accident in the sheet. That was a fond memory of mine.
Well, I was a cop last night. I was a SWAT team member because you know how it is in college. The Halloween gets stretched out to 3 days, especially when it falls on the weekend. And I walked into a pizza place, and this guy thought I looked like a male stripper cop, and now I'm 6'4", so that would not be a pretty sight.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe you get some free food out of it. Go to Dunkin' Donuts.
No. He charged me $6 for the slices of pizza. But Rob Ellis, we appreciate a few minutes today. Thanks so much for hopping on with us. Go Owls this weekend. Enjoy the Eagles, and we'll see you soon.
All right, my pleasure, guys. Take care.
Rob Ellis right there on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Some fun stuff with him. Okay, it is 11:46 in the studio. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we have to go all Eagles for the final 15 minutes of the show. Gelb and Chase here with you, back after this.